Okay, in this example, we want to find the absolute maximum and absolute minimum for a given function on the indicated intervals. So in this first problem, we have f of x is equal to x cubed minus 6x squared plus 9x plus 8 on the closed interval -1 to 2. So the first thing to ask is this function continuous on my closed interval? Well, we have a polynomial function, and a polynomial function is continuous everywhere. So I know that it's continuous, and therefore I'm going to be able to use my theorems about absolute maximums and absolute minimums to go ahead and find those. So first thing that I need to do is I need to establish what my critical values are. So I'm going to take the derivative of my polynomial. So that's going to be 3x squared minus 6 times 2 is 12x, and then plus 9, and then the derivative of 8 is just 0. All right, so I can go ahead, I can factor 3 out of this polynomial, so that gives me 3 times the quantity, x squared minus 4x plus 3. All right, so to find my critical values, okay. Remember, I need to set the derivative equal to 0. So this is going to be 3 times x squared minus 4x plus 3. Okay. And so I can factor that further into 3 times x minus 3 times x minus 1. All right. And from seeing that, where those are going to be equal to 0, my critical values are at x equals 3 and x equals 1. Now then, the thing to keep in mind or to remember here is that I am looking on this specific interval right here from -1 to 2. So the only one of these two, sorry about that, that is a critical value in that specific interval is x is equal to 1. Right? Because x is equal to 1 is the only one that is actually in my closed interval, -1 to 2. Okay, so I've established my critical value, and then I also have my endpoints. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to put my critical value, 1, into my original function. So 1 cubed minus 6 times 1 squared plus 9 times 1 plus 8. And when I add all those together, so I have 1 minus 6 is -5. -5 plus 9 is a +4. 4 plus 8 is 12. So I know that f of 1 is equal to 12. Okay, now I check my endpoints. So my first endpoint is -1. So I have -1 cubed minus 6 times -1 squared plus 9 times -1 plus 8. All right, so I have here -1 minus 6 is -7, minus 9 is -16, plus 8 gives me -8 right there. So the value of my function at -1 is -8. Now finally, I need to check the value of my function at 2. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll take 2 cubed minus 6 times 2 squared plus 9 times 2 plus 8. So 2 cubed is 8. 8 minus 24 is going to be -16. -16 plus 18 is 2, and 2 plus 8 is 10. All right, so here are the values that I am comparing in order to find my absolute maximum and my absolute minimum. So looking at these three, the smallest number I've got is -8. So this is my minimum value on the interval. And out of 10 and 12, 12 is my maximum value. So my answer is that my absolute minimum occurs at -8, and my absolute maximum is 12.